Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts, Matt, Jeff, and today we have special guest, Sam Beau Patrick.
Hey.
We've booted Steve and we've brought on you, which I don't mind at all. So good to have you back, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So we're going to be talking about adrenal fatigue, and we're going to be taking a slightly different bent on it today because we've spoken about it a few times as far as maladaptation is concerned and things like that, Matt.
Yep.
But Sam, you're obviously a bit of an expert here, especially where it comes to women, but not just women, men as well too. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, it's interesting because burnout is becoming more of a topic that even people in car parks are talking about, the gym. 10 years ago we probably weren't talking about it, but now it seems to be escalating.
Uh-huh.
So if someone hasn't burnt out, giddy up, you don't want to burn out, but it is becoming more and more common as an experience for people. So I just wanted to, see what you guys have talked about, if we can add something to the listeners' lives so they don't burn out, so they can recognise signs. And generally I find with people that they're a little bit caught up in the busyness of life, so that there are little signs and they just, they're gazing out the window or they're distracted like magpies and they miss the signs and then they can crash quickly. Yes, from a girl's perspective, a mum's perspective, but a business person's perspective, a healthcare perspective, we can cover a lot of those little topics and we can just see where it rolls.
So in previous episodes, I always want to say that. So in previous episodes, we have discussed lots of different forms of the HPA axis. So we talked about cortisol resistance, cortisol exhaustion or conservation and that sort of stuff. We've talked a lot about the hormonal associations with it and the priorities and the hierarchies. So I'm sure someone will be able to help us tell the listeners which episodes to look up. But typically if you go to our webpage and you go to the little search bar, this is how I do it. A lot of my information I find easier to find on my webpage than my own computer. So I go through and just type in HPA or cortisol and all that information will be able to come up for people that want to go back and listen to that. One of the things that I've noticed as a pattern, and the thing I love about what you do, Sam, is you work with people, okay? So we spend a lot of time working with science and that, but you spend a lot of time actually talking to people about the quotes they say, the phrases, the stories that allow them to get into these positions and the ones that have managed to get out. So you know a lot of that sort of practical stuff that's really good. When I read through the science and when I talk to our customers and our other people and when I think back in my clinic, one of the biggest challenges with this is the language. And what I find when I try to research these things, there's too many egos involved with scientists and doctors where some people don't believe adrenal fatigue is a thing or adrenal exhaustion is a thing. But if you say, well, maybe it's a phase of conservation, they go, okay, well, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it, talking about conservation. But then you'll have some doctors that'll believe in fibromyalgia, another one will think chronic fatigue syndrome's the yuppie flu. So what I find happening is when these people are going to try to get help, this is one of the hardest things to help because a word like depression, a word like depression they can get, anxiety they can get, fatigue they understand as a symptom of those sort of syndromes. And the challenge that I've had is if someone goes to a doctor and says, I don't feel quite right, and if they can get their doctor or they get their naturopath on board with the objective of helping them feel good, but if they go in and say, I've self-diagnosed myself with adrenal fatigue and I want to get a cortisol test done,
you'll get a referral to a psychologist.
Yeah, exactly. So, and when I'm reading through the reviews, like in the paper, for example, I did read this big review article which was called Biomarkers in Burnout. And I thought, this will be cool. This is going to tell us some cool hormonal patterns. 80% of the argument, 80% of the argument or article was basically debating the terminology, because what will happen is someone will diagnose something or use a word like adrenal fatigue and then add a whole heap of blood testing or data to it. Another person will say adrenal maladaptation or adrenal exhaustion, and the data's all skewed, so it's all over the place because no one's got the right words, and then they get caught up with these words.
So I think you raised a couple of issues, if I can intervene now. So the big thing you're raising is people have these symptoms. There is definitely something going on in someone's body. We can measure it. Does it need measuring all the time? Can we just go off symptomatology? I've got a thing in the clinic, and wherever I talk to people will tell you their diagnosis. They don't need to self-diagnose, but they'll tell you their symptoms, and it's not hard to work out if you let people have space to talk. How do you feel? I'm tired.
Yep.
Have you got mojo to do this? I don't have time. What are you doing? I don't know. Time just goes all the time. There's dialogue around it. They'll explain that their burnt out and on a very thin ice between coping and wired and tired, or flat on their back, exhausted. And people will flirt with this line the whole time. Now, do they need a medical diagnosis for that? Well, they can try. If they want to keep their lives complicated and have an institutional label, go for it.
Yep.
I don't know that it's that beneficial, though.
That's a good point. And the funny thing too is with the symptom picture, I totally agree that symptom picture is the way to do these things. I think that's the key, because what you got to understand is when we do a blood test. Okay, so for example, if we look at
what are you going to look for?
Yeah, well, so they'll do a blood test for something like cortisol or something, for example. But unless we're interpreting the blood levels with their symptoms, what happens in the early stages of adrenal maladaptation? So, for example, when you're going through acute stress and your body's pumping out cortisol, telling your body to stop stressing, and then another stress happens and another stress happens, what actually happens is we get cortisol resistance. So, and then we have a period of time where we're resistant to our cortisol. So what that means is we get high blood levels of cortisol, but our symptom picture shows we've got no cortisol activity. And then it goes into a phase of low cortisol because we become exhausted or we depleted, or we go into a phase of conservation. But then we get the sensitivity back on the receptors. So what I'm saying is...
Yeah, it depends where you measure it. It's very complicated. It's like measuring your bank balance when you've got a wage going in every week, but your outgoings are going up and up. You're not even acknowledging them. Yeah. You kind of go, oh no, $1,000 is going in the bank. I'm okay. And it's like, actually, your expenses have just gone up. You're not okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the wrong measuring tool.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of this stuff is, and I think people who are suffering with symptoms, the DIY, self-diagnosis thing, can be fraught with danger.
Yep.
I think sometimes finding someone who does specialise in this is important. Do you need to have a battery of tests? Probably not. I mean, this isn't... It's not
if you do,
rocket science to work it out.
If you do have a heap of tests, it needs to be very well researched in regards to your symptom picture.
Matched up.
So you can identify if we've got hormonal resistance or if we've got hormonal exhaustion.
Yeah, and I see you guys are offering that, a couple of hormone tests, and it's quite good to have a saliva cortisol test or an adrenal profile initially, because a lot of people who end up with burnout, it's not by a fluky bad luck thing. It's because they push. And these people are usually very educated, and so having a measuring stick for themselves to go, okay, when I feel like this, my cortisol's through the roof. How can I go about managing that? And then, measure 6 months later and go, I feel better now, take a test. When I feel like this, these are the results I'm returning. If you want to go down that route, it is very self-educating. But I do see people who knock on lots of doors looking for help, and probably the first door to knock on, I don't know, you can go to your doctor, but they're likely to just go, adrenal fatigue, go and, what are you talking about? But if you go to them and say, I'm tired and I'm stressed, and the good old-fashioned doctor, and I talk about in the book, good old-fashioned doctor will say, you need a holiday.
Yeah.
And that's good advice,
Yeah.
The good old-fashioned doctor who used to sit with you for longer than 3 minutes and actually knew your whole dynamic and family would care. And there's still some out there who do this and say, how are you going? And you just say, I'm tired, I'm not sleeping, and you can get it off your chest. They can hold your hand and they can say, maybe you just need to pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's great advice.
Look, and trying to find the balance as well too is really hard, especially if you've got the A-type personalities that are setting themselves, as we were talking before, high deadlines that are based on nothing other than...
self-imposed deadlines.
Yeah, which and sometimes there are external ones, obviously, in terms of your job or your business that you may have, which are deadlines that you can't move. And knowing how many of those that you can, and you can sit back and say, okay, we've imposed this, I want to reevaluate that. And one of the things we've spoken a lot about is the symptoms and what it looks like, but also mentally restructuring your life and taking note and sitting down and saying, okay, what is it that's stressing me out? What are the things that I am doing which I need to evaluate? We talk a lot in our business about legacy. Right. Which is things that you do because you've always done them. Yeah. Which are things that, like when our business was smaller, we used to do everything from sweep the floors to pack the orders to what have you. And as a result, there's a lot of things that you need to let go of and let other people do. Yeah. And be wise about some of these things. Some of it might be, okay, get someone to go mow your lawn for you instead. Do you relax with the kids on the weekend? Or, okay, so, you do actually need to take a holiday and switch off, and don't take your phone and don't take your laptop and say, for this week I'm just chilling out. And
there's, that's the rehab after burnout is Well, I see it, I take it quite seriously. I give people realistic expectation that this isn't just a pill that's going to change things. You got into this conundrum. Sometimes it's a bacterial or viral attack on your body, but generally, even in that scenario, you should be able to fight back. So if your guard is down, if your initial immunity is down, then you're a sitting duck for recurrent infections. Burnout can be psychological stress. It can be in relationships. It can be a gamut of things that actually create it. Coming out of it is, well, I believe, and this is what I've spent the last couple of years on, is actually coaching people out of it, because the mindset that got you into it will not get you out of it. And that's really important. The mindset created this. So we've got to tweak the mindset, what you're valuing in life and what you've been saying no to. We've got to jiggle that around, start saying yes to some other stuff, which means the stuff you have been saying, the legacy stuff, might not have been pushing you forward, might have actually been taking you back. And it's very difficult for people to do that on their own. You can do it with pieces of paper, you can do it with your partner, but you do need to externalise the thoughts. And now I believe, find some time by the beach with a pen and paper and go, what are my values? What have I been saying yes to that, and what have I been saying no to that makes me feel complete and happy and relaxed?
And why have you been saying no?
Yeah, because money became more important.
Well, and the problem is the problem becomes almost like its own monster, because you're stressed, so you're not working to your full capacity. The problems start to become and appear bigger. You don't have the tools to be able to dismantle the problem. When you relax, when you sleep, when you chill out, the amount of times Matt and I talk about it, where sometimes put on some music and just chill out for a while and think. And in Rich Dad Poor Dad, there was a guy who used to sit for ideas. That was his. This is back in the 1920s or even earlier, and his job was to go in and problem solve for businesses, because when you're in the trenches, sometimes you don't have that time, or you think you don't have that time to relax. But the brain is amazing, the innate genius, if you like, of being able to switch off from the combat and the day-to-day grind and the stress and actually just relax a little bit. Oftentimes the solution then comes, and it's hand in hand with what you're saying. It's that ebb and flow, it's that yin and yang, it's the pendulum swing. You have to not be at 100% all the time to actually work at a higher level, and that in turn will help to switch off a lot of stresses, because you're not finding the solution, or you're not getting the satisfaction, or you're not getting the progress because you're at 100%. When you switch off, and again, I'm not saying that you
That's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Don't apologise. That actually is the recipe. What people, and I've had to learn the hard way through burning out, is that in order for me to be 110% functional and operate a little bit higher, I need to switch off just equally as much. And that gets more out of my machine. If I flog my car and don't let it rest, and
it's like going to the gym, isn't it?
Yeah, you just burn the wheels off the car, and then you end up sliding backwards, and then before you know it, your car's broken. Yep. So the rest is just as valuable as the forward motion of the vehicle, as it is for our bodies. And I really see the people who excel in life, particularly if they are old-fashioned A-type, but people who want to achieve things, chasing financial freedom, creating their own legacy, their business, their body shape, whatever it may be, the ones who really excel honour the rest and the downtime as much, and they become experts at meditation and switching themselves off. And that's where the body and the mindset really just, you take the pressure chamber off, and that's when our creative side will flow in.
Well, Tim Ferriss created the book, The 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah.
I think it's the 4-Hour Workout as well, too, or something like that.
Right.
Like, he's got quite a few books. He's a genius, that guy, the way he deconstructs things. I think he's actually got a pretty good podcast as well, too.
Yeah.
But the whole concept around the downtime has completely gone. It seems almost like you celebrate the hard work. Oh, yeah, I'm putting in 60 hours.
But you got to work with your
I have
type.
no time. Yeah.
You got to work with your body type. You talk about your type A personality people. By telling them to not stress, not worry, take some time out, meditate, that adds stress.
Yeah.
But if you work with them and realise, okay, so this is a highly structured person, they like to be organised, they're very focused on time management. If you have a look at their calendar and show me your calendar, what they do is they jam their calendars full of meetings, tasks, deadlines. What's not in their calendar is rest time, exercise time, beach time. So with a type A personality, if you actually teach them, they say, okay, so you're going to work, okay? You're going to work no matter what. This is what you do. What you're not doing is relaxing. You need to actually put in your calendar time to exercise, time to eat, time to...
Slough time.
I said, you need to put in all your stuff into your calendar too, because that way it works with your personality, where you will
honoured.
achieve it and you will tick it and you'll look at it as important, just as important as your work. And it won't be a thing where you've got to put time, where you've got gaps in your calendar to say relax.
You raise a really good point. So years ago when I wrote the first book, which was about women and high testosterone, the ladies would sit down and I'd say, oh no, you need to stress less. And they'd look at me like, go cross-eyed and go, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, telling someone to stress less is meaningless.
Yeah.
So what I started to say was, I want you to have more fun. And they would look back at me a little bit perplexed, like, fun? And they were like, fun? But I've got all this mandate, all these chores and all these tasks I want to achieve. And
the washing's not going to fold itself, or no one's if I don't go to work, who's going to bring in the money?
Or I want to smash out another course in this online thing I'm doing on top of my work and my gym work. And so people are very thinking that more is better, and fun will be one of the first thing that goes. Yeah. So what I actually...
Well, I earn it later.
Yeah,
delayed
it's the
gratification.
Reward.
I got to beat myself up for a period of time before I can have that opportunity.
Yes, and I think that's where...
exactly. No, but it's true, because I thought I'd be retired by the time I was 40. In fact, I was on the path to doing that.
Yeah.
And then so I worked at 1,000,000 miles an hour doing everything that I possibly could until that all fell in a massive ditch. So then I had to start again, pretty much around 40.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
life is what happening.
That can exhaust you.
Yeah.
That can beat you up if you see these goals and these milestones you're not hitting.
Yeah, you
that
feel
can
like
be
a
part of your
failure
stress.
too.
And every day you're getting older. If you're not enjoying every day, and I know there are days where you've got a full-on day, but I mean,
you still have to have
you need
fun.
to smell the roses. It's so funny. I said that to someone some day, and they go, oh, that sounds like a competition. I bet you I can smell roses better than you can.
Oh, God, yeah. And I can smash it out.
Yeah. Yes, gold medal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true, though, is that, as you say, life happens when you're busy making other plans.
It is. Yeah. And I think the key to this is having fun and giving yourself permission. So I spend hold retreats and actually really give people permission first. It's amazing how many people will not give themselves permission to enjoy life.
And their partners need to give them permission too, because I see a pattern where these people, they see their partners can be stressed or working hard, and so they
kind of feel they have to,
and they feel obligated to have a worse day than their partner. And the next thing you know, these people are sitting there going, "Oh, my day was horrendous and hard," and then they're even exaggerating these stories to make out that
Well, I got 8 traffic lights.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to that song the other day. I've got it hard. You have no idea of how hard I've got it.
Yeah,
you've got it easy. I'd stay right there if I was you. Yeah, you remember that song?
Yeah.
I think it's good.
But I think
you need to teach people to actually celebrate
badge of honour.
I had a good day.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to say I had a good day. I hope you had a good day too.
I had an amazing day.
Yeah.
I did incredible stuff. I had some fun. I sat on the couch. I walked on the beach.
Yeah.
I just looked at the clouds.
And
I took my shoes off.
I achieved some things that I'd set out to do as well.
But they're not the focus. The achieving thing is unrelenting.
Well, see, that's in my just then straight away. Even when you're talking, I'm sitting there, I hope we achieved something today. Because sitting on the couch and getting healthy and feeling great is not good enough achievement in a day.
Sometimes just looking into someone's eyes talking
Exactly.
is actually really rewarding.
And it comes down to what you value. And this is the thing. If you're recharging the batteries, you're going to be a better you tomorrow as well too. You're going to be more resilient. You're going to be able to handle the stresses because you've had that that downtime, that regeneration time. And that's the thing that's missing. So do you have any hard facts around, and I know that we've spoken about sleep and circadian rhythms and all that sort of stuff. We've spoken about coffee. We've spoken about not watching TVs. We're talking about melatonin, Matt.
And iPhones.
And all that sort of stuff. Wow, man, I really hate social media. I really hate it for the most part. And I think for the most part, I don't know, I'm just pulling stats out of my own butthole, but 80 to 90% of the time, I think most of the time for most people it's a bad influence.
Okay, so can I share one of the biggest tools that I will talk about? So I believe we've got time distortion. I really believe probably everyone at this table, there's 4 of us here, probably still have quite a distorted concept of time. So because we can't see time, and even if we could, if I said, right, let's look at this glass of water and we all agree that it's 1 minute, we still see that 1 minute differently. And we believe we can achieve different things in that minute. Now, somewhere in the last 20 odd years or so, because opportunities are everywhere, we can just pluck them now and create them, which probably in the 50s we couldn't. Our distortion of what that 1 minute is vastly different. And I can tell you that some people think that 1 minute is actually 10, and they'll try and squeeze 10 minutes in there. And others will say, oh, no, I've only got 30 seconds. And I usually say that guys have a really slowed, probably more realistic sense of time. They don't try and squeeze 30 hours of work into 24. You guys might be at the moment. But generally, most guys have I'll do about 20 hours of work, because we consciously or unconsciously allocate time. Whereas women historically will try and squeeze 30 hours into a 24-hour time slot. Therefore, they end up racing, they end up ungratified, their to-do list doesn't get done, they end up snitchy at the end of the day. You guys come home and you're all chilled and you think you can watch telly, pisses us off, because we're kind of like, how have you got so much time? And then we get very angry about time, and it's trying to... it's a bit like trying to get rich when you don't like money and you say money sucks, I never have enough of it. Time's the same. If you bastardise it and you blame it on stuff, it'll stay away from you.
From a personal point of view as well too, I've always looked at things saying, well, okay, how much is your hourly wage? Like, how much do you get paid? Now, if you're not stretched financially, what can I pay people to do that I don't want to do that's less than what I earn per hour? So, like, for example, or what can I do during that period of time? So, like, if you can, getting someone to, I don't know, do the laundry, or the things that you really, really hate, like, washing and finding and ironing.
So these are what I call red light activities.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a traffic light system that helps people understand time. So, there's red, amber, green. It's a little bit of a philosophy. I can share it if you like. It takes a little bit to get your head around, but when you do, it's useful. So, time allocation is either conscious. We wake up and say we're going to, spend 3 hours at work. I'm going to spend 8 hours sleeping tonight. And some of it's consciously allocated. A lot of it's not. So we don't often factor in delays, phone calls, calling banks, all that sort of stuff. But when we do allocate it and you look at it, over the day there are some activities that I call red light activities. So they drain you. They don't take you closer to purpose. They really chew up time. You resent them. They're red lights. Ambers are okay. That's how most things should be, round about an amber, like family barbecues, going to work. And if work's a red light, then you need to somehow make it an amber. Then there's green lights. And green lights are where hormones balance, where zen lives, where joy lives, where soulfulness and happiness live. And green light activities actually raise your dopamine and oxytocin, and I adore them. So they're things like where time just goes by, you might be doing some art or doing some pottery or sex or whatever it may be. Yeah,
all at the same time. That's great.
Stop it, you.
Yeah. Haven't you watched Ghost?
I was about to say, it sounds like Ghost.
Yeah. Without the ghost.
Yeah. So, for me, life's a big fat game. If we can change red lights to amber or outsource them. So with red lights, things you don't like doing that drain you, like sitting in a medical appointment waiting for an hour, turn it into an amber. Go ask the receptionist how long. I go an hour. Okay, I'm going to go for a walk. Or use that time if you're at the airport, take sneakers, go for a walk.
Do you know what most people do? Sit there with their iPhones out watching.
Which is still a red light.
Watching social media, feeling depressed about themselves.
Or they could listen to an ATP podcast.
Well, that's green light for everybody.
Exactly. So the whole game of life is to try and flip your reds into ambers and ambers into greens.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. I had a business coaching when I was very, very young, when I first started my first little supplement store, and it was called Red Day. And the whole idea of it was based on the same premise, and it was trying to get everybody down to think a sort of 24-hour work week for business owners and things like that. And it was really making you proactively look at your time allocation, what you were doing. And we even in our business, we have a lot of legacy as well too. So like Tony, for example, does more work, I think, than most people here. Yeah. She's doing financial control, she's doing design, she's doing art, she's doing branding, she's doing marketing, she's doing this. And I said to her, how many of these things do you think that you could outsource to, a junior or even someone out of college or what have you, who is just as good as you are, but will free up your time and you can pay less than what you're paying yourself per hour to do. And that's the thing, is that we don't think like that a lot of the time. We just keep going instead of...
And a lot of red lights we don't need to do. Like, some people are ironing stuff that doesn't need ironing, or, it's the legacy stuff that we've told ourselves that we have to do. And at the end of the day, is it taking you closer to your higher purpose? No, we'll stop doing it.
Yeah.
You don't like cleaning and vacuuming, get someone else to do it. And people go, I don't have money. It's like, well, yeah, you just need to reallocate some money.
Yeah.
If it's a red light, it will drain you.
But also, what's this? Let's say if it's going to cost you, $100 to get a cleaner in to take out the 80% of the stuff, not 100%, but the 80% of the stuff that you really hate.
The stuff that spends 3 hours on a Saturday doing.
Exactly. Why don't you get somebody to turn up on a Thursday or a Friday afternoon and just mop the floors and take out the bins, wipe down and everything, so that when you come home on a Friday, there you go, you've got your sanctuary. You don't have to then worry about coming home to a messy home.
Yeah.
And even if that is okay, it's a bit of a stretch, it's going to cost you money. How much is the satisfaction of that going to be worth?
Oh, psychologically, stepping up for yourself and giving yourself permission is one of the greatest tools we can do. It strengthens your bow incredibly. Because if we don't say and honour our time and ourselves, then no one else will. And we just become like yes people. Yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. And your value system just go down, down, down. And that whole martyr self...
Oh, and guilt. That's the other thing too, is a lot of people have got this weird guilt complex about doing things for themselves. But a lot of those books too, that you're talking before about these work week books and these entrepreneurial books and Rich Dad, Poor Dads. Someone like myself basically went into creating my own business because I didn't think anyone would pay me stupid amounts of money to have fun, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to research and read and invent and just make stuff up. I didn't think anyone would do that. When I first decided to do my own businesses, some people that knew me well, suggested I read certain entrepreneurial books which had checklists.
That's right.
Saying,
this is great.
An entrepreneur will, they're so passionate about their idea that, are you this passionate about your idea? At this point, I didn't have it. My idea was, I'm lazy, I don't want to work, no one's going to employ me. I just got told I'm unemployable by my previous employer.
Yeah.
And so I felt...
Pretty
that
much
I'm going to be an entrepreneur because I got no choice, really. But then I read these books saying if you're an entrepreneur, you've got one idea that you're so passionate about all day, every day. That's what you want to do. Now, you'd be more than happy to work and you're prepared to sacrifice your life, your family. And reading all these things, I'm going, oh, my gosh.
Don't think I'm up for the brief.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like me at all.
There was some things about sacrificing family. And I'm just thinking...
and it was like, be prepared to be single or like divorce. So it was like this full-on thing. I'm like, oh, my gosh, that's not... No, I just... I'm lazy, which is why I wanted to create my own business, Not this is heavy. And then it was talking about time allocation and it was going on about how important it is. And then it mentioned things like, you can pay someone $100 to spend their day mowing your lawn and that gives you your day to actually work on your business and stuff. So what I would do then is I would be doing things like that. And then, but what I didn't realise is I genuinely liked mowing the lawn. Like spending 3 hours walking up and down, not thinking, for me was a major reset and stress relief. Where if I paid someone else to do that chore while I went back to work, thinking that my value as an innovator or an inventor or a naturopath is worth a lot more than me as a lawnmower. But what I didn't do is see any value in my relaxation time. Yeah. And I got so caught up with time management, deadlines, goals, the hustle, the grind, and trying to be someone I'm not, and trying to live outside of my spirit and who I am, and basically live inside an ego, because I read a book written by an egomaniac for egomaniacs, and then it tried to turn me into that person. So you got to be true to yourself and realise, okay, this is I find stress relieving, and I find this is
it's a green lights are different for everyone.
Exactly.
I've done this around the country when I was doing corporate chats in businesses, and it was just hysterical how. And this is very basic segregation of things, but guys would have very different red light, amber and greens to women. When I do female groups, 30 women in the group, just throw some red lights at me. Sex. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
yeah. Whereas guys, it's a green light.
Yeah, of course it is.
Because for us, we've got a whole list of stuff to get through. The kitchen bench has to be clean. We're exhausted. And it's like, oh, do I have to,
Yeah, but that's foreplay. See, I've learned that. It's now I'm 40 now. It's like,
sorry, wiping the bench is foreplay.
Absolutely.
He puts on his apron and nothing else. I've seen him. I've turned up.
No, Matt, that would be for you. But no, for Tony.
That's a smart man.
I have to admit, we were on the road together.
Yeah.
Too much, boys.
Your panty whispers.
Oh.
Too much.
He drops one in the room, and I said, "What was that?"
I never.
And I said, "Did you fart?" And he goes, "No, that was my panties whispering."
No, my panties whispered.
So for the
next,
we were delirious. It was funny.
I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard.
I had tears rolling down my eyes. But
we were tired.
Yeah, we were deliriously tired. But the thing is, though, is that I get that. And the funny thing is that we talk a lot about love languages. Man, we're crossing over a few things, but they are interrelated, right? So with love languages, my wife's love language, and a lot of women's love language, not always, is acts of service, which is my kryptonite.
So glad you mentioned that.
Because I am I am words of affirmation and physical touch.
Right.
Those are the two things for me. And then you've got gifts and surprises, and there's always the other one which I forget, which is
quality
not me.
time.
Quality time.
Oh.
Which actually I got a little bit in that, and so does Tony as well too, which is
Yeah.
cool. That's the at night. Hey, we're going to watch Walking Dead, or we're going to watch something like that, and that's a great quality time. And I'll typically go and I'll do all the dishes, put everything away, make sure the kitchen's completely tidy, and make her a cup of tea. Because if those things don't happen, there is no
Sex
way.
doesn't happen.
There's no sex on the kitchen table. No, I wish.
Oh,
no, there's on the kitchen floor.
There's no hanky-panky. There's just hanky, as Michael McIntyre says.
Absolutely. There is no... There's just
Man,
cranky.
I'm gonna tell you
There's no
something
hanky-panky. There's just cranky.
This acts of service and love language thing can be a big source of stress, though, if you don't get it. Like, if you don't know what the hell's going on.
What, because this is a challenge?
No. See, the thing is, you got to realise, if someone's love language is acts of service, it's like that proverbial tree in the woods. If no one's around to hear it, did it fall? So the problem is with acts of service,
You've got to time it,
if
Matt.
there's a shitload of acts of service have occurred,
And no one's even noticed.
and I was at work at the time of those acts of service. Well, I come home.
I like the way this becomes group therapy.
And then I hear this
Matt.
hour.
I know.
No, and then what happens is I've got to listen to the acts of service and I acknowledge them.
But you've already done acts of service that haven't been acknowledged. Is that what's happening?
No. The weird thing is then I feel bad because my love language is probably saying nice things and shit.
Not physical touch.
Nice things and shit.
Yeah, no,
He's
I
got
do
such a
amazing.
fantastic
my
vocabulary.
My physical touch is amazing. Like, there are people that
You just make women quiver with it. Just accidentally brush their elbow.
Levitation is something I can do with physical touch. So that's easy. That stuff. That's not my. That's not my.
He's
concern.
going to write a book.
My concern. I can write a book if that's what you want about physical touch.
I'd like to. So what's it
Let
like?
me help you write a book.
Yeah,
Next year, that's what I'm doing, showing people how to write books.
Yeah, well, let's do
Nice.
that.
Yes.
All right, done.
Yes.
Game on.
Because I think it's if you've got someone
Not about physical touch. I don't.
It can be about anything.
We might do about.
It could be
something
called
else.
Matt. I'd like to touch you.
or it can be called lazy entrepreneurial
Well, no,
shit.
it could be about this,
And
the
shit.
lazy entrepreneurial shit. And,
love
the
and
whole-
panty farts or whatever it was.
Panty whispers, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, and
No
there's
F-bombs.
some proverbial tree in the woods. So this is the point that I was trying to make, I think, is what was happening if I didn't get that acts of service was a love language thing. I thought it was like a martyrdom thing trying to make me feel bad. So what would happen is I'd come home and I'd be doing a hard day's work, I believe, because in my mind that's
You'd
what
left
I'd
the house?
done. I'd left the house and achieved some things.
Hunted and gathered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'd
I'd
come
hunted
home
and
with the
gathered.
deer over his shoulder.
Yeah, and the beer in the back.
I could do that. I choose not to. But no, and then what happens is I come home and I get told about the acts of service, and I think it's her telling me she's had a horrible day, but it's actually her explaining the stuff that I may not have noticed that she'd done, and then I feel obligated to say, oh, my day was hard and shit too. I did lots of stuff and things, and then I go, oh yeah, well, you think that was hard doing that? Well, I had this problem.
I had hanky and no panky.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and
there's
then
no
I
hanky
think,
panky
and then
then.
I thought, look, no, I'm trying to make a serious point here, guys.
Sorry.
This is a thing that people might be experiencing that you guys obviously do not understand as acts of service givers as your love language. But people that don't understand what the hell is going on might feel as though they are being told you do nothing and I do everything. And
So
that
this-
becomes a stress.
Yeah.
Can I give you...
My point is...
Yeah, sorry, you finish your point and then I'll give you a trick.
Everyone has their own love language, and as a
Yes.
partner in a couple, if you understand what this
Oh,
person's
it
trying
makes
to
life
achieve,
easier.
it changes everything.
It does.
As
so
opposed to going, why is she trying to make me feel bad?
And people can just do it on their phone and do the 5 love languages and they can find out
What?
today.
What'd you say?
Oh, there's an app.
There's an app, you get Gary Chapman, you just get on, do the 5 love languages, you work
Yeah.
out what yours is, you get your partner to do it, takes 5 minutes each,
Yeah.
your life improves incrementally. Like, it's amazing.
Stress.
really-
See? Oh,
see-
why did I have to tell that big long story? You should
No, it was a
have said
great
an
story.
app.
No, but it's a good
Ah,
story. So the whole thing comes from, though, obviously understanding and viewing things from other people's perspective. It's like the whole
How do we
concave,
grow?
convexed. Everybody's looking at, go, look at this, it's concaved. And the other person's standing on the other side going, no, it's convexed. Obviously, you're an idiot. But it's not until you get to see life through the other person's eyes.
Yeah.
I hate acts of service. I would pay to get everything done. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? The house and all the rest of it. And I came home yesterday after organising a gardener to come and pull all the weeds and, you know, blast all the stuff, because I don't want to do that. I don't even own a
I
proper
love
mower,
that.
right? And Tony got rank.
I think
do you
we
know
should-
why? Because she wants to see me do
an
the acts of service.
See?
I
But
think
that's
we
her
actually
love
need
language, not yours.
I think we need a whole podcast on guys' language, girls' language. Because what I'm hearing is the Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus guy. I met him over in Dubai, and I talked to him, and I talk about high testosterone in women. He talks about high oxytocin, and we had an awesome chat. He said,
cuddles.
Matt, so, you come home from work, and if guys do this, it's a game changer. And I even get some guys have to write it above the fridge, so they go, babe, come here. Let me put my arms around you. You do so much for everyone else. Let me give you a hug. It's gold.
Yeah.
All of us want that. We just want a man to come home, shove his arms around us and say, she won't rattle off all those lists if you do that. If you could just go up to her and put your arms around and say, babe, you do so much for everyone else. I really appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
Come here. I just want to give you a hug and embrace you. I could nearly guarantee you
It does work. I do that.
Yeah,
She's
I
a
know
very
you
lucky
do. You're
girl.
very emotionally onto all this stuff. But then the acts of service game doesn't play.
Try that. Try that. I know how hard you make all this look.
No, that's kind of wrong.
No, do you want me to write it?
No, I do not say that.
No,
Anyone that
you
knows
wouldn't
what-
come back. You wouldn't come back.
My
tomorrow.
wife's a little bit stabby. I think...
we all have a very low melting point to being embraced and told how much we do for everyone else.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. No, it does.
Unless you're married to an ice queen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they take that as an insult.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah, and that's, I guess, where, you just have to practice it. You might wear a few bruises, and then after a week of it, the girl will actually go, you're supporting me. You got my back.
Yeah.
And that feels good.
Yeah. So
anyway,
back to stress.
But
look, the funny thing is though, is that relationships are a major, how'd you say, misplaced aggression and anger through a lack of understanding and empathy.
They're a major distortion of life.
Where's your sanctuary though?
Distraction.
This is what we're saying, because we're talking about stress and recovery. We're talking about working hard and then recover. So if your sanctuary is a place of stress,
which
then
is
you
why
can never recover.
most men, not all men, but a lot of men won't fight at home. Because they don't want. We want to come right. It's just whereas
for us,
women, it's like, no, this is a time to get things in order.
We've been waiting all day
this
to
is
talk
the
to
nest.
you.
But even
tell me my acts of service.
But even with that as well too, it's the nest. So the nest has got to be in order. Everything's got to be done. It's like, can we just leave that for the weekend? And
No, we've been waiting 8 hours to get stuff off our chest and just bombard you, and you're kind of like, no, I need to go into my cave at least for half an hour.
So with that stress, on a biochemical thing, when we talk about the burnouts and stuff like that, what we talk about is people going through phases of up. So we go through a phase of an overflowing cup or too much on our plate, and over. We become hyper reactive or we're over the top.
Yep.
What happens then? We go through a phase of being over the top all the time to a phase of resistance, saying we can't maintain that.
Yeah.
And then we go into a phase of conservation.
Yeah.
Whether we call that exhaustion, fatigue, conservation, maladaptation, whatever, we go into a phase of conservation.
Yes.
Now, in the textbooks, this is the funniest bit. So when we have adrenal fatigue, if we're right up with cortisol resistance and we're over the top overflowing, or if we're empty and depleted, the textbooks say, with a reasonable period of time, without any stress, it all goes back to normal. So the problem is, though, is our definition of stress and perception of stress, because when do we get that time? And this is why relationships and home and love language stuff, we got talking about this, because it's very hard to actually recover and regenerate if you don't have a place where you have a reasonable period of time with no stress. And especially towards the end of the day when we're wanting everything to wind down and slow down, that's such an important time to not have arguments and fights and discussions, to go home to a sanctuary. So that, I think that is, that's a really hard bit to do, because apart from stress, apart from the emotional stress, and the bills and all that sort of stuff, if you've got inflammation, if you've got bad gut health, if you've got immune dysregulation, if you've got toxic exposure, as well as, hurry, worry, money, and that sort of stuff going on, how on earth could you get a reasonable period of time without stress for your adrenals to just reset and reboot? That's why we're stuck, huh?
Well,
it'd be awesome if somebody had a book that could actually provide some
master
information.
segue. Steve's not here today.
Well, I felt very Steve-ish by doing that. But I don't know, Sam. Have you got any material resources that might help people?
Yes. Well, it's funny you should say that.
Huh.
Like you're saying about the textbooks. Textbooks typically, particularly medical research, is at least 10 years behind what's happening in what I call the marketplace, which is real life.
Yep.
So this book came out last week, and it's the 5th book I've written, and it's on burnout. And it took me 4 years because it is quite philosophical. It is all about these things you guys are touching on. It's about perception of stress, because stress can be a really awesome thing in your sail if it's pushing you forward and not depleting your stores. You can get more done. Like, there's this sweet point where a little bit of stress, a little bit of a deadline will get more out of you. But if you don't play the game well enough, it will end up exhausting you. So stress is a normal phenomena. Learning when to pull back and honour the resting, and this book touches on a lot of that stuff in a pretty plain language way, because there's no point me talking highfalutin. It doesn't help people change, and I really want to see people, this life's good.
Yeah,
life's pretty cool and juicy.
And
let's enjoy it more.
I've got a sign off on many years ago that I used to have on my Gmail account, which is don't wait for someone else to make your life great. That's your job. We're all waiting for something to happen. It's actually you take control of it, and part of that can be knowing that you can change anything in your life really that you want to. Anything
Even in
that
the
you're
next
not happy.
minute, you might decide not to do something after this podcast that you've been doing. You're like, actually, I hate doing that job. I'm not doing that anymore. Boom.
So chill out or burnout. How to thrive in a busy world. So this is book 5, Sam, and you've given us 10 copies, I think, to give away. So we're going to give them away, I think, with some of our Core Directs.
Core Directs would make sense.
And the funny thing is as well too, I mean, we've spoken a lot about, and we know that, Matt, we can utilise herbs and we can utilise food. I mean, too much caffeine. We've spoken about, and in the other podcasts as well too, not watching, TV a lot, having arguments and that chill out time and all the rest of it. But mindset's something that we sort of touch on but don't go a lot into. So I understand that the book talks a lot about mindset. What
about exercise, mindset and exercise? And because I find that is a big one too.
In what way?
Well, what I find is, like, for example, a lot of people will exercise with angst. Like they'll punish themselves. It's like, I'm exercising because I ate too much, or I'm exercising because I'm a bad person or something. They do with this angst, and they go in like they're in battle. And if you do that after work at the end of the day, you're just screwing around with your cortisol. If you get up first thing in the morning and you maybe do some intensity exercise where it actually fits in the that's the go. Hunting
Sex
and gathering.
Man, my problem is it doesn't go for long enough.
Oh, but
30 seconds is better than nothing, I guess.
There is no segue now. We're just like, okay.
Seriously, like, I mean, I don't know, 2 or 3 minute sprint on a treadmill, you'd still be puffing, wouldn't you?
Exercise and mindset. You're 100% right, Matthew.
Really?
Yes.
What did I say?
That smashing out your body
exactly
with anger to exercise is really missing the point.
Because exercise could be stress relieving for some people.
Exercise should be joyful and fun.
Endorphins.
Exactly, but for other people, it could be quite aggressive and injury forming and angst forming. So get your head right, and when you're doing this and why you're doing it.
Ken Ware fascinated me when we spoke to him. He became, Mr. Queensland in a very short period of time with the chaos theory as far as how he lifted weights. It was interesting.
Well, Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, he evaluated how his body responded and was using observational science, if you like, to determine, how his body worked. And I said, okay, so when you go, what do you do? He goes, I actually go in, effectively the best way to describe it, in a Zen state. Yeah. He goes, he doesn't listen to music. He doesn't have doof music on or anything like that to fire him up and get angry and all the rest of it. Because he says, obviously, that.
How are your muscles going to learn?
Well, he said, and that can work because obviously you're firing yourself up and you're stimulating yourself, but it's putting you into that fight or flight. Yeah. Whereas he said that methodology doesn't. And he proved it himself. I mean, it's a shame he's not actually teaching more people how to become champion bodybuilders, but he works with a lot of high-class athletes, though.
Instead.
He's getting people out of wheelchairs that can't walk, complete paraplegics and what have you to walk. But he said by putting the body into that, your body is able to hear its own mechanisms and it's actually able to use the feedback to improve and to get the results you want from it. So, you're right, Matt. I mean, and I think a lot of people are so busy looking at, these beauty magazines. There's this awesome song that I shared with you the other day, which is everybody's free to wear sunscreen.
That's good.
And it says, do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. And the funny thing is that social media, for many people, is just one big fake. Well, I'm not saying beauty magazines. I mean, a lot of them are touched up and photoshopped.
It reminds us of what we don't have.
And the funny thing is, and the thing I love about the song, if people should go jump on Spotify and have a look at it. The thing is, everyone's free to wear sunscreen, and it's cool. It was written in, I think, late 90s, early 2000s, and it basically, just says, embrace the beauty and the power of your youth, because when it's gone, you'll know what you're missing. And when you look back, you'll just realize how fabulous you actually are, and that you're not as fat and ugly as you think you are.
That's a maturity thing too. Like that.
Oscar Wilde said
that one of my great.
Absolutely, that youth is wasted on the young, because you don't recognize. And you know what? I'm talking about young 40-year-olds. I'm talking about young 50-year-olds. You know what? When you're 120, okay, maybe you're a little bit past it, but that's what our life cycle should get out to. You got young 70-year-olds, because of the freedom and the joy, and every stage of life there's something to look forward to and enjoy. Everybody focuses on the negative, and it's reinforced by social media of people who are pretending or putting out there that they have a better life than you when they really don't. We met a guy, a really famous Instagrammer, good-looking guy. I won't mention his name because he was
behind the scenes. He's a train wreck.
He was an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, and he said,
this destroys any relationships that I'm going to have, because he goes, I am married to my social media accounts.
Yeah.
He said, that's all I think about. That's all I do. And he was and sick as a dog too, wasn't he? And he was absolutely exhausted. And I'm like, man, I wouldn't. I mean, he had all these adoring fans, but realistically, the quality of his life, what he was explaining to us. This isn't a judgment. This is what he was saying to us was...
I don't think he's on his own on that.
I mean, you can't even have a meal without considering what it's going to look like on Instagram. And these people, the relaxation, internal zone out, chill out time, like their times to recover is become a business. This is a bit of a jumping from topics that, to combine a couple of things we've discussed. You talked about politicians before and social media, and now we've also talked about business and entrepreneurial stuff. I always looked at politicians running a country like a business because it's got to be profitable and all that sort of stuff. The scariest thing is they're still doing that, but now it's an insta-famous business. Their decisions are being made for likes. Like the likes of votes. So that basically the politicians, and no one's making hard decisions for the health of the nation and the good things, because they're trying to get the short-term likes is what they're after.
Can of
quick
worms.
Votes and all that.
But that's always been the faux pas of politician is being voted in the next day.
My stress has significantly reduced from removing myself from Facebook.
Great.
It was a massive thing, because it was angst and the feeling of constantly having to do something, and there's people that I need to impress, and even into the point that then if I schedule in exercise and schedule in zone out time, I would do that with intensity.
Yeah.
I would, because I've allocated it to a time of something, I got to relax hard. Like I got to do some hardcore meditation here and really focus on meditating. Like, look
That's
out,
it.
look out.
Sniffing the flowers.
I'm going to yoga. I'm going to yoga myself.
2 flowers today.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that the key and the maturity and the upper hand with all of this is actually valuing the downtime as much as the uptime. And it sounds really contrite, but this is the lesson of the decade we're in, is that more effort, more goals is actually not making people happier.
No.
Wealth is not just about financial numbers in the bank. It's about your how you feel every single day. And if you can feel connected to your world, your purpose, the people around you, and also can sleep really well at night, happy days.
The most valuable thing in life, I think, is time. And we've said this before. You can spend money, you can make money back. You can make more than what you've ever had before, what have you.
Yeah.
But one thing that you spend, which is gone forever, is time. If I could take everything that I had and get back to when I was 20, oh man,
I'd spend time differently.
But I would take my kids with me. That's the only difference, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So it's like, but not only that, it's time. It's and reminiscing and all that sort of stuff is great. But so many people are so focused on the future, on earning and receiving, that they actually have completely lost touch with the present, and they're not enjoying life because it's about they're beating themselves up for either their inadequacies or where they're falling short, or where they're not happy, or they're comparing themselves with the Joneses, which is one of the absolute best ways to make you feel terrible about themselves. And or they're thinking about tomorrow and how they're going to become a
millionaire,
or even if they're not, how they're going to get through and how they're going to make ends meet and all the rest of it. When every day you've got the opportunity to enjoy it, because again, you really might not be here tomorrow. But one of the things I would highly recommend is going through, where possible, and having a look at the things in your life that you really detest and hate, and then changing it.
Yeah.
You know, like that you're the captain of your own soul.
Yeah.
You are. You have the ability to choose what you do and what you don't do. And everything is really a construct. Now, there are always, how would you say, consequences for your actions. But the consequence of doing nothing means you're going to get exactly the same in the future. So, and if you're not happy with that, then change it.
Yeah. Look, some of the best advice I was personally given maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I had some prolapse discs in my neck and went to a neurosurgeon for an opinion in Brizzy. And it was amazing. This is a neurosurgeon. I thought he'd be sharpening his knife, ready to operate. And he said, I want you to write down everything that you do in your life. And, this is someone who coaches people on how to manage time. I'm like, of course I can. And, I was doing a radio show at that time and, the 3 kids and bloody blah, and I wrote it down. And he said, I want you to put a line through a third of it. And I thought he was it felt like needles going into my eyes and pins under my nails. I'm like, I can't let go of my radio show. But when I looked at it, it was certain elements that we do they might start as green and they become red. And the whole thing of life and being in the now is making sure that you're fulfilling things that, if you died in the next 24 hours, did you spend today as you wanted to spend it, or did you spend it on something that might happen in 2 years and got caught up and missed the opportunity to live today? It's really important to be frugal with time and to make sure it's going on your values, the people you love and care about in the world, and you have to be one of those people that you care about the most. Yeah. You have to be.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 things that had the most profound effect on my life was my father, and he said, whatever you find to do in life, do things that you really enjoy. And my 2 favourite things were fitness and health and video games. And so I made businesses around both of those. Now, I decided not to do the video game business because I obviously did ATP Science. And the other thing was the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, it was just the title of the book that inspired me because I recognised that...
Is that Napoleon Hill?
Yeah. Just thinking, just actually taking time to think. Just think things through, create visions. Because with that as well too, as you say, when you're doing the hard yards, it's the vision, it's the final destination of where you're going to go that makes every day enjoyable. Now, because sometimes life is hard, but what refreshes you is the fact that you're making progress towards the vision of what you're trying to achieve. So it doesn't mean like you're sitting back, as you say, every day on the couch, watching Days of Our Lives.
No.
But it just means that whatever you're doing, you actually feel like you're achieving something, working to something, and that sort of puts wins in my sails. As you say, that good stress, but that needs to be coupled then, as you say, with the complete downtime, that family relaxation, that time on the beach where you don't have your phone, where you don't have, people have access to you 24/7. I went on a holiday down to the snow, and I purposely left my phone and my laptop, in there. I would check them just in the evening, literally for an hour. That was all I did. And as a result of that, I had one turkey that was working for us, just absolutely giving me a hard time on my holiday. Mind you, he didn't know, but at the same time, I got wrapped into that, and it completely destroyed one of my days. I was just on the phone backwards and forwards and all the rest of it. Well, it was something that I felt like I had to deal with when I really didn't.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's when you switch off completely.
It's like time. Like for example, my boys, I've got 3 and 4 year old, well 4 and 5 now. They just had their birthdays, and I asked them what they wanted for their birthdays, and Alfie says to me that whatever money I want to spend on his presents, if I can pay to take the day off work...
Yeah, he just wants you.
He said that would be better. Yeah. Can you please just take the day off work? And I was like, oh, okay.
Kids just want us.
Yeah.
They just want our attention.
So time's the only thing that they value. It's funny, but it's interesting too when you're talking about before, sometimes we don't realise how easy it is to de-stress. I used to have to wear glasses. Okay, so I used to work at a company and I used to be quite anxious and stressed, and I'd even read with anxiety, with angst. Yeah. Like I read my things like I'm working hard, so I've got to furrow my brow.
All tight.
Yeah, and I'd get all cranky and angry and work with angst and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Walk with purpose, But I used to have to wear glasses and to read because, as you know, with survival and stress response, it gives you everything you need to find the horizon and the exit. But close vision and attention to detail shut down doesn't help you in a survival situation. So I actually, suddenly I needed reading glasses. And then I was saying to the guy, and I'm a smart ass typically, so I was asking the optometrist how they fix my eyes. much the way a crutch would fix a broken leg.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Is there any exercises? He goes, no, just wear your glasses and then come back and then we'll probably get you stronger and stronger and stronger. Anyway, I talked to him. I said, is there any way that we can fix these eyes? And he says, actually, old school way was to spend 5 minutes every hour looking at the horizon.
Yeah, just...
Now, what he's saying is that your muscles are getting tired, so you're trying to hold your eyes in here and then they just want to drift out. But the reality is my nervous system in stress mode wanted me to find the horizon. So for the whole time I'm there working with angst, it's wanting me to find the horizon. Taking that 5 minutes every hour, which I did. So I said, okay, 5 minutes every hour. And you know how I did it? I tricked my employers.
Something on the window?
No, I tricked my employers into thinking I was a smoker. Because the only people allowed to wander around outside for 5 minutes every hour were bloody smokers.
It's a rot.
So I told them I was working for a naturopathic company at the time, a supplement company, and they called me one day and said, it's really bad that you're a smoker and naturopath. And just quietly, so I go and kick the footy and play ping pong with the boys, and I spend 5 minutes looking at the horizon. But that 5 minutes looking at the horizon probably wasn't relaxing my eyes and allowing them to go. It was probably relaxing my sympathetic nervous system, allowing my sympathetic nervous system to find that exit, find that horizon, and doing so reduced my stress, allowing me to spend the rest of the hour.
And your efficiency went through the roof.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
And I don't wear glasses now.
Yes.
Recently, I went and bought some.
Yeah, right.
Just
because I'm struggling to get back in because I'm stuck in that mode.
It's funny, actually. I'm going to get Steve-O to do some research. And I know, Matt, you've said before astaxanthin is something that you can take because my eyes are getting worse to the point where I think I'm either going to have to up my prescription or go get some, smile surgery or something like that done. Yeah. I read this horrible thing about these people in a local clinic up the road here that the compounding chemist used one of the wrong compounds. It had the same front name, but it was a sulfate or something like that. Burnt their retina. They needed corneal transplants. So I'm thinking they're going, I'm not really happy about that. So
I think it's just weird that they do eye surgery and call it smile.
Smile surgery, yeah. Apparently it's better than LASIK because I still play sport, and if you do LASIK, apparently it can weaken the eye wall a little bit. So if you get a bump, it can rupture. Whereas smile is supposed to be a lot faster and a lot less invasive. Anyway, Matt, maybe we should have a look before I go and do it. Maybe I should get into the...
Maybe just have a holiday and see if that makes a difference.
No, I don't know.
Do you know this holiday thing?
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that horizon thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see if I improve.
Go the holiday.
Yeah, go that.
Yeah, but what else? Astaxanthin, you said, was pretty good as well too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but no.
You're not just doing the more is better thing again that we were just talking about?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No. Because I'm not taking any astaxanthin.
No, I reckon take a step back. You go back onto the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system
So,
stuff. And look at
what I hear both of you are saying, experts, is more sex.
I think that's what the diagnosis is morning sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Morning sex.
Mm-hmm.
The puffin technique. I think you should do that often.
I'm puffing a lot.
So there's 5 minutes there and 5 minutes on the horizon.
If you can relieve your wife's stress by listening to her acts of service, then she can relieve your stress with your ability to express your love all over the place.
Back to holidays.
Yes.
What I've noticed is that...
Yes.
What I have noticed is that people, like Matt was saying with exercise, can still wreck a good beneficial thing by the mindset being more is better.
Yeah.
So some people go on these holidays and they smash their holidays. We did this, and this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you may be missing the point
of the holiday.
So, and every day. Like I think we just need some, and myself included, just need a different veil of.
You guys do that. You guys always go away for actual holidays. So I'm having this time off, and on this particular day I go here, then we pick up there, then we're there, and then we're back, and then I'll see you the next day at work.
Like we're going away soonish for a holiday to Bali.
Yeah.
So we've got a few nights at a kids full-on club thing that they're all catered for, and then we're going a couple of days with. There's still another kids club, but this one's really designed for the adults, private pools and all that sort of stuff. So it's a week, which is I can't do holidays for any more than a week because then I actually start to feel stressful again.
The interesting thing when I travel, and I just came back from France last week, is watching. So I am an observational learner as well. So I'm probably more of a socialist than I am a biochemist. So I watch what people do and I look at I guess I measure their happiness quotient or read their aura, whatever I do, and I notice resoundingly around the world people who do less are happier. And it's not, there's a fine line between lying on the couch just playing video games. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are still achieving their goals, moving with momentum, but they also have these pockets where they totally zen out and they'll exercise with joy. They'll hold someone's hand. They'll eat food slowly. They'll just sit and squat, which they don't do necessarily in France, but in Bali and third world countries, I see people just sitting around by the side of the road all the time, and yet they're highly productive as well. They're not slouchy because there's no social services there, and these people still earn their way through life.
Yeah.
But they are a lot more, they've got the balance, the equilibrium's a lot stronger, and the parasympathetic is used as much as their sympathetic.
See, in everything that we talk about, I know that unless people are prepared to actually take stock of their life and actually say, and self-evaluate, and maybe even, as you say, maybe get other people to help you to evaluate. If you're stressed and you're not happy, something has to give, something has to change. So, and it starts with taking stock.
Yeah.
What is it that you're not happy about? And is there, what action can you take? Whether it's immediate or whether it's something that you can plan over a period of time.
Can you just stop it? Like, are you actually saving lives by doing that action? Well, just stop it, see how that rolls.
that exercise itself is extremely therapeutic because you get people to be mindful about what they're actually doing, and they actually start to think, no, I enjoy doing this, I enjoy eating, and when I really think about it, no, I hate that.
Yeah, so don't do it.
Yeah.
Or reduce it or outsource it.
Yeah, that in itself is a good tool, getting people to think and then get them to mark points within their day calendar. Where are other times that you zone out and you chill?
Well, we all sing about it. I don't like Mondays, and everybody's living for the weekend, and it's like, no, why don't you try and find doing something that you really enjoy? It's funny because someone was telling me, I don't know who it was, there was a really high-powered executive who left his job to become a landscaper. Yeah. Pay way less.
Oh,
and he's loving. And someone is in my circle somewhere. Oh, absolutely through the roof. Is loving life. Yeah. Absolutely loving it.
That was my favourite job. I used to do lay turf. But when I was studying naturopath, North Queensland, 3 months every year over Christmas to pay for my uni, I would be laying turf. And but what I used to love about it, you turn up to a place and you see your pallet of grass and you got your dirt. And then at the end of the day, because as a naturopath, you very rarely see a finished job as such. But this was like, you look back and just go, oh my gosh, I actually finished something. And now I'm watering it. And then the next day you do it again. And every day you're like, man,
sense of completion.
I nailed that.
Yeah, Tony and I used to, when we first got married, we had a commercial cleaning company cleaning new home builds. Exactly the same. You would not believe how well I could clean a window. So well that people used to throw their apple cores at the windows because they thought that they were open and they'd bounce off.
Yeah, now he just licks them.
Talented skill. I'm not a window licker. Anyway, so in terms of, but you're right though, the sense of completion of actually doing that at the end of the day and walking out of a finished job.
And having that could be a lot of stress, because that'd be a lot of stress for a lot of people. So when these people are working in a project that's not their project, they're contributing towards something, they never get a finished thing. Other people that are running a business and they're looking forward towards that exit or that retirement. The rest of the time they're stuck feeling and this anxiety that could be taken away. Like there's a lot of little things that people could do in their day to reduce burnout by saying, hey, break it down into simple little steps, and this is what I've achieved.
Smaller milestones, trying to achieve less, and it will just make you feel happier. And
less pressure on deadlines. And
you still do move towards your goals.
Anyway, so do you want to get into some FAQs? Was there anything else that you wanted to finish off on?
Are you talking about sex again then?
Yeah, don't worry, it'll be cut.
Well, we've touched on a lot.
Kinky.
I think getting yourself through burnout or recognising it is really important, and honouring fun and really critiquing how your time's going, whether it's red light, amber, green, for me makes so much sense, and it's easier than stressing less is adding more green lights in. Yep. So if you're not doing any green lights in your week, make it this week. You're going to do a green light, something you used to do that gave you joy. Yep. And then, for me, life is a big fat game. I try and do 2 green lights now every single day. And the people who I see who are the leaders in the world, who have their stuff together, who aren't just Instagram pop-ups, actually do 3 to 4 green lights a day.
What are your 2 green lights? Can you share or no?
Yes, I stand up paddle, I meditate, and I cook.
Yep.
I'll spend time either with the kids or with the dog. And they're not things that generally cost money. They're just things that I really enjoy. And I paint. Yeah. I do a lot of painting and drawing and chatting. And actually, I enjoy this stuff. Like, for me, this is a green light.
Yeah, look, and the funny thing is that the amount of red tape, like the amount of red editing, like when you see that red pen come out that Matt's got over there, the editor, when he gets involved, like seriously, the outtakes of this, you would just piss yourself laughing for probably if we were brave enough to release it, which we probably should do an adults only.
Yes.
No, he's shaking his head, going no, it's not appropriate. But
there's too many people looking to find offence these
Yeah.
days. They'll find it in our outtakes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been watching Jimmy Fallon late at night lately. I've been watching him doing his hashtags with Justin Timberlake. I try and finish every day either with I suppose sex or something funny or
I combine those two things.
Yeah, and meditating. So there you go.
Funny
All three
sex.
can be in there.
Meditating. I don't know how you do that, but the funny sex thing I do really well. But the interesting
it's funny
thing
to watch. Sometimes I just watch to just
But how much though? And we'll go through into the bullpen and all the rest of it without getting too carried away. But we laugh a lot at work. We have a lot of fun. We do. We really, really genuinely enjoy ourselves for the most part.
Did you just call your wife the ball pen?
No, the bullpen.
Oh. Anyway.
Sam?
That's available.
Chill out or burnout, and we're going to give some away with some Quad RX. So look out for that little promo on our website. But be pretty quick though, because we've only got 10. So
might be able to bring some more up.
Yep. And last word from me: sweet slumber. All right, and that'll do.
2 words. 2 really weird words.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, I think people might have fallen asleep while I was saying that. Thanks, Sam, for coming in.
Thank you.
Sorry about his behaviour.
See you later.
Ciao.
It's gross. Red pen that.
Oh, he's cutting that as well. Damn it! None of them sneak through.
Red pen creepy.
Red pen creepy. Don't worry, it's a lot. Okay, cut all that. Are we done?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, redline it. Okay. That's got cut. You know that.
I do the best parts. So they pretty much give that job to me. Would you like to do it?